But yeah, just a couple examples. Like you might have a North Dakota-based operation. The family's from North Dakota. That's where they're really from. But they've been going down to Texas for 15 years for spring buildup. And they've been going to California for 5 or 10 years for almond pollination. So their current migration route might be something like, on January 1st, their bees are all down in Texas. And then in late January, they'd send their colonies out to California. They would spend all of February out there. And then sometime in March, most of them would get shipped back to Texas. But maybe a few loads of bees, maybe they might send them on to do a second pollination event to do like Washington, cherries. Those couple loads would arrive in Texas a little bit later than the main cohort of bees. But then in Texas in the spring, beekeepers, I would say, migratory beekeepers use Texas mainly as a state where the colonies have the benefit of early buildup, like warmer weather and early pollen and nectar sources, so that they can split their colonies, divide a colony into 2 or 3 or 4. You can only divide it in 4 if you've got a really strong colony, but or even 3, you need a strong colony. And then, the colonies will build up on that forage. A lot of beekeepers, at least on the Gulf Plain, make massive honey crops, or big honey crops from the Chinese tallow tree. So a lot of areas that have an early honey flow, which is when the flora in the area is secreting more nectar than the bees are consuming. So that the bees are gathering nectar, but they're storing more than they're able to eat or than they need to eat. So that's what the beekeeper calls a honey flow. Yeah, nectar flow is when some nectar is coming in, but when a nectar flow is so strong that the bees are putting away a surplus, then we call that a honey flow. And yeah, so they'll make honey off of the tallow trees, and then this North Dakota beekeeper, for example, would ship their bees up north to their locations where they're going to make North Dakota honey off of plants like sweet clover, alfalfa, or canola in some regions. And then fall, they are going to send their bees back down to Texas to spend the winter.